Hello, and welcome to this presentation on simplifying digitalisation. I'm Hannah Bailey, Business Development Director for Intoware. Intoware is a software development company. We're based in Nottingham in the UK, and our core product is Workflow Plus, which is a digital process management software. Over the next 15 minutes or so, I'm going to share with you how embracing technologies such as ours has helped to benefit the field service operations of our customers, and I'm going to impart some tips and lessons that we've learned along the way. So what is digitalisation? And I don't mean this to be a trick question. We're not in an episode of QI, so there's going to be no klaxons going off. Can't get it wrong. But I've put this one description up of digitalisation that I came across because when I read it, I thought, yes, that sounds about right for me, having worked in technology for 20 plus years. And I have seen a few interpretations over those years of kind of what digitalisation is. Sometimes description is a little bit different. It's more digitisation than digitalisation, but I'll come to that in a second. But my point here, it's about people and it's about what it means to them, the different interpretations and understanding, and how having a clear dialogue and defining what it means within a business from the start is essential for the successful of any digital solution. That's because new technology needs buy-in. It needs buy-in from the top down and it needs buy-in from the bottom up. And if people don't have that understanding within the business of what it is and why it's important to them, they're more likely to be resistant to change. And then that can slow down the whole digitalisation process. I mentioned I'd touch upon digitisation versus digitalisation from the previous slide. And again, this follows on from people's interpretation and understanding of what these terms mean to them. Digitisation being the conversion of past analogue assets into digital, and then the digitalisation, utilising these assets and applying them into new processes and applying the technologies and digital solutions. As this diagram highlights, hopefully on the screen, we're now a lot more au fait with these terms, as digital transformation has been a priority topic for businesses for quite a few years now. But how this is achieved and executed through the digitisation of these assets and then enabling the digitalisation and change of processes really varies depending on who is having that conversation within the business and also what challenges they are looking to overcome. The CIO and the IT manager may have very different considerations to that of the field-based service teams, who are more likely to be focused on the sort of day-to-day job in hand rather than that company digital vision. So I think to ensure your digitalisation programme is successful, it's really important to consider how to implement the solution in a way that will work best for the people in the company. And that requires a focus on the frontline workforce, the managers, the people that are doing those day-to-day jobs, the people that will be using the technology. It's understanding what are their challenges, what are their problems, how do they see their roles and tasks evolving in the future. Now, it's very hard to talk about digitalisation and not touch upon the pandemic and the impact that it's had. There is no getting away from the fact that during the global pandemic, while many of us were trying to quickly adapt to working from home, like kitchen tables and bedside tables as desks, there was also an entire field-based workforce that were also thrown into the same situation that also had to quickly adapt and look at ways that they could continue their day-to-day operations. As well as that, they had to manage all the restrictions that were put in place with the social distancing and a reduction in their team sizes. And unfortunately, while I didn't quite get to do as many workouts with Joe Wicks as I like, I did spend a lot of my time on calls with businesses of all sizes, SMEs right up to large corporates from around the world, who were suddenly looking at technology and digital solutions like ours, like Workflow Plus, as an immediate and necessary answer to help get their field service workers back up and running and to help keep their operations moving during that period. Other technologies such as wearables also became thrown into the spotlight, and you can see on the screen there is a gentleman there that he's got one attached to his hard hat. That is a ruggedized assisted reality wearable tablet from a partner of ours, RealWear, and that kind of leads me on to sort of the implementation of these technologies and really about creating that right connected worker environment. One of the key points about digitalisation and creating that connected worker environment is really about identifying the pain points and challenges that need to be overcome in the current operational process. So you know exactly where best to focus and implement these technologies before actually applying them. It should also continue to be focused on the worker, you know, keeping the worker at the centre of the process, and then building that connected worker environment around them and giving them direct access to the systems, the resource, and any assistance they need to do their job more efficiently and more effectively. And I think it's important, you know, having employees take an active role in that change process, encouraging them to be involved from the start and always listening to their feedback really helps with engagement from those that will ultimately be using the new tech in their daily roles anyway. And this also then creates a bit more of a positive vibe around the whole project. It also leads to a more receptive mindset, you know, to create the change that you will eventually need within the business by turning these people, you know, these frontline workers, these field-based workers into your super users, your ambassadors that will then communicate and advocate this change amongst their peers, which will then, you know, organically grow across the business. A good example of where this approach has proved to be successful is with a customer of ours, Welsh Water. And we've been working with Welsh Water for about 4 years now, started initially with a trial which involved the locating and changing of boundary box meters. This is quite a complex process. It requires very specific steps to be carried out in a certain order, and using our software, Workflow Plus, meant that they could quickly and easily transform what was an existing paper-based process into a digital workflow. And then that enabled the engineers to follow that same process each time, and also had the additional benefits of being able to capture better quality real-time data and photos. They've since developed about 50 plus processes, and this video
The challenges we had in Welsh Water is very, like every organisation, is very paper orientated. So having the ability to have a workflow gets rid of the need for paper-based. So it saves the operators time and efficiency. It's basically working smarter, not harder. Having that workflow there in readiness for the operator will be much easier.
Another customer that we've been working with over the past few years and supporting on their digitalisation programme is Network Rail. We were approached in 2018 by Network Rail R&D, by their innovation team, who were in partnership with the Central Rail Systems Alliance, identifying a series of business challenges that they were looking to address. And I've put a few of them up on the screen here. And one of the key ones was to reduce the amount of paper-based forms that were being used and filled out by the engineers, especially while they're out on track doing site surveys. The aim was to digitise critical data reporting processes as well, used by Network Rail's frontline teams, and to help deliver better quality data insights, which was something that they felt that they were lacking on some of their operational processes. And also a big thing for Network Rail is always around focusing on safety, so improvements in track safety and how they could reduce those costs, looking at a solution for future deployment were the key points that we were working towards with them. And as a result, Network Rail were able to deliver a best practice approach for their frontline teams to follow right across its track renewal operations, with an impressive 70% time saving compared to that of how they were doing their current processes. So, and as you can see from some of the other statistics on the screen, there were many benefits that were recorded by introducing this digital connected worker solution for the track renewals team, and also with a relatively noticeable return over a short time frame. It was also recognised during the trial that Workflow Plus has provided many additional benefits that weren't previously listed from the previous slide that I went through as their initial challenges. Things such as that created a central repository of data that was automatically updated and was accessible live by people all across the business, which they hadn't accounted for previously. There was also, it reduced the time it took to actually collect the data and reducing the amount of repeat site visits, so people weren't having to go back out to track as often. And also the quality of data that came back was improved, and the reports that were coming back were also automated, so engineers didn't have to then re-enter the detail. You know, they can write on the forms and go back to a depot or back to the office after their shifts and then put it into another Network Rail system. So we are continuing to work with Network Rail and across different divisions of the business, delivering many other further sort of digitalised processes, things such as overhead inspections and asset management inspections. So again, as a sort of, it's an ongoing digitalisation programme, because they're really seeing the benefits of applying the solutions such as ours, Workflow Plus. Couple of examples there from the work that we've done with our customers to date and the kind of results they've achieved. There's so many benefits that can be gained through digitalisation though, with the conversion of paper-based forms into digital workflows perhaps being the start for many. But for those that are further along in the process and have already transitioned to a more digital way of working, they are seeing many more benefits, such as increased productivity, a reduction in their operational costs, more consistent and better quality data. And with data, that now provides them a form of business intelligence perhaps they previously may not have had. So now they're able to make some more data-informed decisions. So a few key tips I've put up here, that sort of captures what I've been speaking about over the last few slides around simplifying digitalisation. Quickly run through them. So number one, decide where to focus the technology. I covered that off earlier, you know, really identifying those challenges within a business where technology is really going to add some value, making it all about the user. So making sure that the user's always at the centre of any kind of technology or digital solution, and how it's going to impact on their role and their day-to-day job. Develop and encourage a culture of adaptability. Again, this is about that sort of interpretation and understanding that I spoke about at the very start, making sure that everyone is kind of looking at it in the same way, and the terminology being used within the business means the same across the business. Make it a joint effort, again, from the top down and the bottom up, making sure that you've got all the key stakeholders involved, and that they've got an opportunity to provide their feedback and they're considered to be part of that evolving and changing process. Work it into your budget. I'm always surprised to hear that people do want to transform and make change across their business, but it's not always an item that's been accounted for. And I think, you know, it now needs to be sort of put on the forecast as a priority. So make sure that there is a pot there that you can actually then, you know, engage with technology companies and work through with them beyond sort of proof of concepts and actually look at deploying and implementing them within the business. Let everyone know it's an ongoing process. Digital transformation, it's sort of not a goal to be achieved. You know, it's about change. Technology will always evolve. There will always be something else out there. And I think the thing is, it's always good to realise within the business that it's not a project that gets completed. And that's the thing at the end as well. Review, measure, tweak and repeat. So have a look, see how those technologies and those digital solutions are working within the business. Take the analytics, review it, and then tweak it accordingly. If something not's working, then I think that's a new thing around failing fast. A lot of larger companies are looking at more of an agile methodology when they're bringing these in, so they can really see whether it's adding value and they're getting a good ROI out of it relatively quickly. So yes, that's kind of my key tips. So that's it from me. Thank you very much for your time today. Of course, if you do have any questions or would like to know anything further about Workflow Plus, please, my details are on the screen. Do drop me a note or give me a call.